Next up, we have the PR department. Jiaxing Lin, please come to the front and present your report. Jason?
Jason Franco, since my report, I spoke to Catherine so far, manual coming out on Wednesday, based on templates for events, so clean the Gmail box of design coordinator, spends some time making code for advocacy, and post to create had some responsibility and made some templates and things or no, there's that fits in sense for raffle and motion. That's part of
Okay, then do we have any questions for Jason? Abed?
Suzanne, first of all, thank you, Jason. We were wondering what are your main difficulties during your portfolio because we noticed that in a lot of reports there were, like people were mentioning some problems with the designing materials. So,
Jason?
Jason Sankoyan. Yeah, the main difficulty I'm facing is just the overview about all the projects, and I'm still just getting into it. I'm involved. But I'm talking for FPPR about how to fix it, and thank you.
Any new points? I don't see any. Then thank you, Jason. I think we can move on. Technical pause. Okay, then we can move on to our social media coordinator, Leila Basic. Leila?
Leila, social media coordinator, so updates. Since writing my report, I have implemented another website that is now in our Instagram bio instead of Linktree, and that is Waytons. For now, no problem occurred, so we're good. Instagram's platform had issues, probably you saw it, that caused a bigger amount of profiles to get deactivated. Fortunately, IPSA profile was not deactivated, but we lost a lot of followers. And also, like 10 hours later, we got that back. So from my report, we have 150 more followers on Instagram. During AA, we're active on all our platforms and covering every speaker, workshop, and training.
Thank you, Leila. Are there any points or questions? Hanif?
And in France, there has been a presentation on the election for the newest award. Would it be possible to have like a presentation with their name and their position in a picture? Because we think it's real, like we can show them, see them when they get elected.
Clarification from Leila?
Leila, social media coordinator, could you please repeat again because I didn't understand at all?
Hanif?
In France, can we have like a presentation of the board with their name and position in a picture? Maybe I can show you what we do instead. It's like that all people can identify all the board. Do you get what I mean?
Leila?
Leila, social media coordinator, you mean executives, right? So we are at the moment waiting for our teamwear. All of our executives and all our team is on our website. So everybody's there, but as soon as we get our teamwear, there is going to be posts about our team.
Thank you. Next we have Anne.
Hello, Alex Voss. What is planned for the winter social media campaign and if possible to add a text message?
Leila?
Leila, social media coordinator. That is just in the workings. We're discussing it in our PR department. So that is probably going to be some end of December because at that time most of us are out of office for holidays, and I can prepare it in advance if that is going to happen because at the moment in the PR we are discussing that possibility.
Thank you. Next we have KMPSV.
Elena KMPG, the Netherlands. Thank you for your report and your work on social media. Out of curiosity, we were wondering why you went from Linktree to the new Bayard point. Maybe we can learn something from it.
Before you give the floor, please, I would like to remind you that you're not allowed to speak between delegations, only interdelegation talks, please. Leila.
Leila, social media coordinator. So we had a problem. Instagram actually banned us from following, posting, and everything because of the link tree. Unfortunately, that sometimes happens with external links on Instagram. That is why we decided to find another website to provide us the same thing as Linktree. Because was actually discussed in the last mandate because has a lot of more options for design than Linktree, and with removal of Linktree, we were back on our our Instagram as usual.
KMPSV.
And Elena KMPG, Netherlands. So are you sure that it won't happen again with this Bayard point?
Leila.
Leila, social media coordinator is Beacons, if I wasn't clear enough. My investigation, I mean, I didn't see that anybody has a problem with Beacons right now. That's why, like now in my updates, I said we don't have problems now, but we will see if it happens. At least now we know what the problem is. Linktree is working for a lot of different pages, but unfortunately not for EPSA. And removal of Linktree was the only way for us to get back on our Instagram. So we will see.
Next up we have Abed.
Giuseppe Portugal. Thank you for your work. We just have a suggestion for the measurement of your third KPI. Because it says like again the General Congress 2023 reached 10,000 followers and there is a percentage of emphasis Instagram accounts. However, we are measuring it by the percentage of followers that we have from the 10,000. However, in the beginning of the mandate, you already had a number of followers, and I think that the growth should be measured by the additional followers that you're getting until 10,000.
Leila.
Leila, social media coordinator. This year, APSA changed the way of KPIs. At the moment, writing my POA, I wasn't aware of it, but I had a meeting with grants coordinator Manel, and we decided when there is a review of our POAs that we are going to be slightly changing those things. But regarding actually that KPI, that is like a tradition from a lot of social media coordinators before me. So we will just probably change it a little bit, like the wording, but we probably think it's okay to just leave it since it is the tradition of APSA, and until we reach it, I don't think we're going to be changing, but thank you for your suggestion.
Abed.
Giuseppe Portugal, maybe I was not clear enough. I was saying like the measurement of the additional followers gained, because we are measuring it like by the percentage of the 10,000. For example, at this moment we have 7,148, and so we are saying that the KPI is at 71 comma 48 percent. But the thing is, like, imagine that at the beginning of the mandate you already have like 7,000 followers, then you only have 3,000 to reach the 100%. So if you're gaining like 1,500, that's 50% of KPI, not 7 something, you know.
Thank you. Leila?
Leila, social media coordinator. Now I understand it better. We can look into it. That is how it's. That was how it's done. Was done for 3 mandates in the past that I like read POAs and KPIs. So I can definitely check it with our grants coordinator because he's the main person for KPIs, and then we will see. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up we have Anif.
Within France, would it be possible to have with the public department and European affairs Twitter list with all the stakeholders that you have and all the members interested in some of advocacy? So all the APR or even all people interested in the European youth can follow and more easily understand your work in terms of advocacy and keep updated themselves.
Okay. Leila?
Leila, social media coordinator. That is a good idea. I will definitely check with our APR coordinator or departments, and we will see how we can proceed. Thank you for the idea.
Thank you. Next up we have Yupsa.
Katerina Yupsa, Ukraine. Thank you for your work. And at the last day, we had a lot of discussion about how to improve the promotion of EPSA projects. So, and we talk about like to make some highlights with like stories about the projects where people can just get to know about the project, not only EPSA events. So, what do you think about this, and do you have some plans about that?
Thank you. Leila?
Leila, social media coordinator. To be completely honest, I do not remember that from the last GA. Maybe I wasn't there at that moment. But we can do that, and also for all of the associations that struggle with representing EPSA, we are always here as a PR department and me as a social media coordinator. We can definitely do that. We just need to find a slot because EPSA has a lot of projects, and to present all of them, it's going to take at least a week and a half, which is kind of troubling in EPSA with all of those projects coming up, but definitely we can look into that with our PR department. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up we have BPHD.
Leila, BPHD Germany. Could you please elaborate on your strategy to help carry the followers from one event to the next one, as well as to the EPSA online account?
Leila?
Leila, social media coordinator. There is no particular written strategies because there are no guidelines, no regulations for social media right now in EPSA. I am writing guidelines that will be done in my mandate. So in that mandate, I will be writing also strategies how to proceed with gaining of followers. Also, my experience now as a PR officer for our next event will make me have a better and clearer vision of how can we do that, since we see that mostly the same people are going from event to event. We need to find a way to attract new people to our page, to our Instagram pages. So we will definitely look into that.
Thank you. And next up we have Anif.
Mario, Annette France, your KPIs mentioned a giveaway on Instagram. Do you have any news for this project, and how do you measure it?
Leila?
Leila, social media coordinator. In previous mandate, we looked into the giveaways and all regulations, so website does not break any law or have any breach in any way, shape, or form on Instagram. Now we got clear from our lawyers. So in this mandate, we will be probably pairing up with external department to see if we can get any sponsors, since FSS is not really it's not really good this year, but we will definitely be looking into some sponsors that will provide us materials for the giveaway, and with that, I think we will attract a lot of more people on Access Instagram. Thank you.
Thank you. We have no more points on the speaking list. We have Yuksa.
Katerina Yuksa, Ukraine. I was wondering, like, do you use the analysis of statistics on the pages for creating and developing the strategy? For example, like, if the people like more evolving for the project after the video, after reels, because it's like it's a trend right now. How do you use it, and how do you plan to use it in the future?
Leila.
Leila, social media coordinator here. We definitely use statistics on our from our social media. Last year we had a detailed statistic analysis between my previous VP and me, but unfortunately that way how we made it last year was not really feasible for EPSA to continue on it. Now we're looking how to get information quicker and how to implement it even quicker than we could get it. So we are definitely following also statistics like how many people see the whole video till the end and not only the first 5 or 10 seconds. Also, we from that we got the newer strategies for our projects. For European Affair Wednesdays, we have seen a rise in likes, shares, and comments, and also saving on our Instagram by implementing those previous statistics. Now, this year, we went from on the European Affairs Wednesdays, we went from about 40, 50 likes to more than 100, which for EPSA is good, and that is normal, since they're just infographics without faces and they're just explanatory. So that is completely different part from statistics of posts that have people's faces in it. Thank you.
PhD was also direct. Okay, that was dropped. Next we have Asad.
Asad, it's a good thing we voted against paying for questions that already came up, because I don't know if this came up or if you talked about it. I was wondering, for your 25.4, what do you mean by creating shareable posts with a bit more personal touch? Thank you.
Technical from the PhD.
I didn't understand that. Just like from the audio translation.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Asad?
Asad, can you hear me now? So my question is basically for point 5.4, what do you mean by creating posts with a more personal touch? Thank you.
Leila?
Leila, social media coordinator. The first post will go up after our out of office period, so that is going to be our team picture. That will be shareable in the way that every person is on that picture and they can share it. So they're most likely, and they are more likable on Instagram, because Instagram algorithm recognizes faces and people, and that's why algorithm pushes those posts up, and then by default they're more likable. Thank you.
Thank you. There are no more points on the speaking list. Do we have any more questions? New point from the PhD.
In your report, you mentioned that you wanted to have 3 Instagram takeovers. Do you already have some plans in the future, and just elaborate what they will be?
Leila?
Leila, social media coordinator. I also believe that in my report I stated that we already have one takeover. That was during the pre-visit for AA. Last year we saw that takeovers were a huge success on our Instagram. So for now, since we have problems with Instagram, I'm not letting our team members to do a normal takeover, so that means they have access to Instagram now. It's more complicated for us, but we're going to still have takeovers, but people will be sending messages like pictures, locations, and all the things they wanted to be on stories for me to just edit it and post it. There are also going to be a lot of takeovers. I'm planning to do one takeover doing pre-visits for AC. There is going to be a takeover, also probably is going to be a takeover from our interns in Brussels to just share their day with us, but also that depends on other people and their availability. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any new points? The speaking list is empty. I see none. Thank you very much, Leila. Technical second. Okay, and now moving on to the next department, which is the educational department. Next up, we have Katarzyna Dabrowska with her report. Kasia?
Kasia, hello. So, since submitting my report, I reviewed all the reports for the second meeting and answered all the questions in my report, prepared the AA22 walkthrough and all the other materials for the second meeting, attended several meetings, including a meeting regarding live stream for the AA22 and a meeting with Hatchet and representatives of Moderna regarding a possible collaboration with a public health campaign about vaccination, finalized the AA22 educational program, made all the necessary changes in the AA22 educational program, updated the AA22 team task allocation, corrected registrations for the AA22 educational program, collected all the materials and presentation for the AA22 symposium, and together with the RC of AA22 took care of the logistics for symposium workshops and trainings, and moderated the symposium for the AA22.
Thank you. We will be taking questions and points now. So, KMPSC?
Hey, KMPSC the Netherlands. Thank you for your report. But we were wondering how many people actually watched the symposium live stream. Do you know that?
Kasia?
It really depends on the one, but in the past, as far as I know, it was around maximum 20 people. But maybe people from the past mandates, they know better, but I think it was around 20 people.
Direct from KMPSC?
Elena KMPSC the Netherlands. Because we were wondering why we are doing a live stream of the symposium if we're not promoting it. I think we saw one story about it, and there were a lot of stories, so you can easily miss it. And especially for an AA, all the participants are here, so they all will come to the symposium.
Kasia?
Actually, it's a very good point, and we'll, in the future, we'll of course also will try to promote it better. Also, in my report, I suggested that we could have online educational, like we could share presentations of our speakers. So, like they could have, because with live stream, maybe sometimes the quality isn't the best, and this way we could have better quality. And also for this reason, students might be more encouraged to join it. And for this, we are also plan to have promotion.
Thank you. Are there any new points? I see none. Thank you very much for your report. We can move on. Next up, we have Mauve. How do I pronounce your last name? Joseph. I'm sorry, I don't want to make mistakes. With her report. Mauve.
Hello, I'm the Educational Affairs Coordinator. Since the report, I delivered a workshop regarding the methodology booklet. I manage everything related to educational outcomes within the team, and I also helped the department and the RC during AA.
Thank you very much. And we will be taking questions now. Pascal.
As you mentioned in your report, you are looking at the EPSA members' social media accounts, and you're looking for their educational content, and you try to analyze them. And we are thinking about if this will be beneficial for you to. Not working. Can you hear me? Yeah. So we are thinking it is beneficial for you to have some kind of report, or maybe some posts translated to English to better understand our educational content on social media.
Mauve?
Mauve Educational Affairs Coordinator. Thanks for your suggestion. I already thought about creating a representation, first regarding the methodology booklet, with analysis during kind of workshop session together, and that presentation would be able to be translated in every language for you to make the promotion to your students.
Thank you. Clarification from Pascal.
So, to make it more clear, you stated in your report that you pay attention to the social media posts from Professor Perez, for example. And we are thinking that you maybe don't understand our posts because they are in Romanian. So, do you need a translation maybe from time to time in English to better understand our content and maybe give us feedback about our educational content?
Mauve?
Mauve Educational Affairs Coordinator. Yes, actually it would be amazing because with that we will be able to make the promotion at the European level. Thanks.
Thank you. Next up, we have CCPSA. After technical. CCPSA. Small technical pause.
Because with the Czech Republic, the KPI says that they want to reach 5 teams. We'd like to ask what's the strategy for this. Thank you.
Mauve?
Mauve Educational Affairs Coordinator. Yeah, I need to investigate with the EA department how we can actually reach them.
Thank you. Next up, we have Asad.
Hello, Azad. Yes, my question was also related to point KPI 4.4, and it's concerning what have you decided which organizations, which teams are you going to contact? Is it going to be a bit more from what I understand, do I understand correctly what you mean deans of certain universities, of certain countries, certain EPSA members, or yeah, how would you sort of select which deans you would reach out to? Thank you.
Mo?
More educational affairs coordinator. Thanks. So that's the point. Reach teams or organization to advocate for students' curricula with the help of the methodology booklet, for example. I didn't choose any specific university. I think it's something that it's quite complicated to reach teams, for example, and it needs to be an agreement with me and National Association if they think we need and we can advocate for things. I thought about talking about this point during a meeting with LSEs to see if there are some requests.
A direct from Pastor.
Well, that's very rare. So, as a suggestion, we would like to mention that one of the member from our board of trustees is from European Association of the Faculties of Pharmacy. She's a dean, as I'm concerned, and maybe you can liaise with this organization to reach the deans.
Huh?
More educational affairs coordinator. Thanks for your suggestion. I already thought about this organization, and it's really cool if you have someone that you know in this organization.
Next up, we have BPSA.
On the of BPSA, thank you for the report. The BPSA noted that the idea of having the youth platform was a certificate. However, the BPSA recognized that it is funded by Erasmus Plus. With the decision of the UK leaving the European Union, we would wonder whether it covers British students as well.
More?
More educational affairs coordinator. Thanks for your comments. In fact, I have some news regarding this point. The previous educational affairs coordinator, Andrea Beltech, I don't know if I saying your name wrong, contacted me yesterday to have a meeting with her to talk about this because we advise some IT support for it, and apparently we can make certificates. So we will be able to do that on our own and not with the help of this kind of platform.
Next up, we have Pastor Joe. And the speaking list is currently empty. Are there any new points? I see none. Thank you very much, Maud. And now we can move on. Next up, we have our Public Health and Social Services Coordinator, Katerina Knoll. Gabriel?
Gabriel President, could we take Vita first?
Of course.
2 seconds.
Then we will take our training coordinator, Katerina, to present her report. Peter.
Beatrice, training coordinator. Since the report, I had the first trainers board meeting, and the report was decided with the trainers and main tasks for their mandates. I also kept the preparations for the training booth in advance and continued managing the logistics and preparations for the training sessions in Athens. Reviewed the reports from the team, answered all the questions, prepared the slides for the trainings meeting, prepared everything for Athens together with the rest of the interns from Brussels, and helped preparing internal activities together with Gabrielle, Marlene, and Kasia, and also continued exchanging messages with the panelists.
Thank you very much. And now we will be taking questions. Kasper.
Bianca Petrolina, congrats for your work. So, you mentioned in the report that not much focus has been given to the advocacy part. So, we would like to know what is your future work on this?
Ida?
Beatrice, training coordinator. No, it hasn't been a lot of work into this, especially because we didn't have a person who, from the trainers board, who could also help and engage more on this. But I agree, I will, yes, but with the VPA, Katerina, and the other members of the EDA department, and look into investigating what can be more done, because there's always possibility in collaboration when it comes to advocacy, and there was always before there was already explored the possibility to have maybe some training more directed to advocacy, so we could connect both of these topics, but it still needs to be yes, and worked on.
Thank you. We have a new point from Kasper.
Kasper Romania. So thank you for your work, and we really like the trainers on tour, and we really appreciate your effort on this. And we are wondering if you will keep continuing this event on online format, because we think it was very beneficial for our students.
Rita?
Beatrice, training coordinator. Thank you. This is definitely an activity that really helps to promote the project with students. Usually this event happens locally, and we try to always keep it live, because the impacts that it has from having live training is completely different from the online. But of course, since we want to include as much as trainings as possible, besides this possibility on making those trainings online, there is also an activity that is the training week, that it's also has the purpose to continue having a lot of soft skills trainings during this week around February. But for the future, the Trainers on Tour has the aim to be live, but can always be adapted for online if you, DLSs think it would be better for availability.
Okay, we have a direct from BPHD.
Sarita, PhD. Could you, we really love Trainers on Tour online version, and can you imagine a version where, like, not the entire program, but one or two points of them would be feasible in a hybrid version?
Peter?
Beatrice, training coordinator. In a hybrid version, it is possible, even though it's not ideal, but it's complicated. We worked on the logistics, and we already had a previous experience from hybrid trainings in the summer university due to some unexpected situations, but it's always a possibility to consider. The priority should be live trainings, then online because of the easier logistics, but hybrid is always a possibility to discuss, because there is a possibility to have more interaction during these trainings, and we can have
the participants attending the training live, which is very much beneficial. Thank you.
The speaking list is currently empty. Do we have any new points, questions, remarks? I see none. Thank you very much for presenting your report. And we will be moving on. Next up, we will have our Public Health and Social Services Coordinator, Katarina Knoll, presenting her report.
Katja, go ahead.
Katarina Knoll, Public Health and Social Services Coordinator. Dear General Assembly, since writing my report, I attended a meeting with Moderna about a possible collaboration on the immunization week campaign. I also sent them a proposal for it. I had a meeting with Sandra Bouzian, our publications coordinator, to discuss the podcast and videos for the public health campaigns of this year. Also, I'm investigating a proposal of a company interested in a collaboration on digital health called Alive in a Day. They reached out for us after the Pharma 2020 and will schedule a meeting with them in the end of November. I also had a meeting during this event with the educational officers of the Annual Congress 2023 about Live Health Campaign in Slovenia. I co-organized a social services activity about first aid during this AA, and participants really enjoyed it very much, as well as myself. I also made the booklet and materials for the diabetes campaign at this autumn assembly that will happen tomorrow.
Thank you very much. We will now be taking questions. Shazabada.
So my question for you is, how is the responsiveness of the public health coordinators and social services coordinators from the member associations? So how is the attendance of meetings or most enthusiastic?
Katja?
As a Public Health and Social Services Coordinator, I was actually surprised about the respondents of the public health representatives. We had a very high engagement for the Pharmacist Week campaign. It was higher than last year. For the meeting, we only had one meeting so far. There were around, I don't remember what it says, 30 people present. This could be increased. And I want to do this by sending the doodle out a little bit sooner. Yeah, there will be 3 more happening, one in November. And I also want to increase engagement by having during the meeting a workshop or training, because this first meeting it was more about the general public health campaign with EPSA and social services. But for the next meeting, I plan to have also something more engaging.
Thank you. Next up, we have Annette.
My name is Paul. Firstly, thank you for the brief answer. It's really useful. The only point in your report that hasn't been worked on is the user to share your report. So sorry, what are you planning to do?
Can you please repeat it?
My name is Paul. Firstly, thank you for the details clearly. It's very useful. The only point in your report that hasn't been worked on is the humanitarian part. So sorry, what are you planning to do?
Katja, Public Health and Social Services Coordinator. That is correct. We have a live social services at this autumn assembly that we organized about first aid. We plan to organize such live social services events also in the future. So what I have planned for the humanitarian month in January, it will be an online campaign, but we will have engagement at a local level by presenting your humanitarian work, and also as EPSA we will try to organize a social services activity during our 13th meeting. We can also share that, so we have both like live involvement as well as having some infographics and Instagram filters online. Secondly, we will organize probably with IPSF in June something about discrimination. The details have to be planned out yet, but we're working on organizing it.
Next up, PPHD.
Teresa, PhD. I just would like to thank you for the flexibility you showed during the preparation of the European Pharmacy Week. We really appreciate it, and it was really supportive of you, and I want to put that out on you.
Thank you. There are no more points on the speaking list. Are there any more bullshit from BPSA UK?
After BPSA United Kingdom, BPSA would like to thank you for your report. BPSA members have enjoyed your public contribution from the university registered, but Apple in particular. The BPSA delegate would like to ask if there's coordinator who would like to continue delivering apples in everything, or maybe consider other fruits like oranges, green apple, orange apple, not orange apple, pink apple, any fruit. So would that be a necessary thing to do for everything instead of having polar loss of diabetes today?
Thank you. Katja?
Katja, Public Health Campaign and Social Services Coordinator. Yeah, we can investigate this and see if there's also some pepper fruits, since it was a big burden for you to carry, I imagine.
Thank you very much. There are no more new points on the speaking list. And that will be it. Thank you very much for your report. And we can move on. Technical seconds. And now we will be moving on to the financial matters. Technical from Gabriel.
President, actually, if you technical, just to explain, now it's the science excursion, which is why we're not taking the last report, and will be taken to tomorrow morning. Another technical, since it is the financial matters point, I will ask Charmaine in the back to please turn off the live stream, and our partner organizations to please leave the room.